The Empire had conquered over 300 worlds across the galaxy. Their warships blocked out the stars wherever they traveled. Their soldiers stood 8 feet tall with skin harder than steel. They had never lost a war in 10,000 years. When their scouts first discovered Earth, they laughed. Commander stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking at the blue and green planet on his screen. His second officer, Lieutenant, was reading the report about the species that lived there. "They call themselves humans," said with amusement in his voice. "Average height is less than 2 meters. Their bodies are soft. They have no natural armor, no claws, no venom. They cannot even survive in their own planet's oceans without special equipment." Made a sound of disgust. How did such weak creatures become the dominant species on their world? "Unknown, Commander, but our scans show they have only basic space travel. Their weapons are primitive. They still fight wars among themselves." Paused and then added, "The High Council has approved immediate conquest. They estimate it will take 3 standard days." Smiled. This would be the easiest victory of his career. The fleet arrived in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. They broadcast their message to every communication device on the planet. The message was simple: surrender or die. They gave humanity 24 hours to respond. The humans did not surrender. Instead, something strange happened. Across the entire planet, humans stopped fighting each other. Countries that had been enemies for centuries suddenly stood together. Within hours, every military force on Earth was working as one. Every scientist, every engineer, every factory began working toward a single goal. Watched this from his ship with confusion. "What are they doing?" he asked. "They appear to be unifying," said slowly. "All of them, every nation on the planet." "Impossible. Our intelligence showed they were divided. They hate each other." "They did, Commander, but now," checked his readings again, "now they are acting as one species." Dismissed this with a wave of his hand. "It does not matter. They have no weapons that can harm us." The 24 hours ended. The ground forces descended upon Earth cities. 10,000 soldiers in their advanced armor, carrying weapons that could level buildings with a single shot. They expected the humans to run. They expected them to hide. They did not expect what happened next. The first wave of soldiers landed in a human city called New York. They marched through the streets, ready to crush any resistance. For the first few minutes, everything was quiet. Then the attack came from everywhere at once. Humans poured out of buildings, from underground tunnels, from vehicles. They came with whatever weapons they had. Some had military rifles. Some had hunting weapons. Some had nothing but metal pipes and kitchen knives. And they kept coming. The soldiers killed many in that first hour, but for every human that fell, 10 more appeared. They attacked without stopping. They attacked without fear. When their weapons were empty, they attacked with their hands. When they were wounded, they kept fighting. When they were dying, they used their last breath to strike one more blow. Sargent was a veteran of 50 campaigns. He had never seen anything like this. He watched a human woman throw herself onto one of his soldiers, trying to pull off his helmet with her bare fingers. She was shot 3 times, and still she did not stop until her body gave out. "What are these creatures?" whispered. By nightfall, the forces in New York had won, but they had lost 200 soldiers, against a primitive species, against soft-skinned beings with no natural weapons. Reports came in from other landing zones. The story was the same everywhere: victory, but at a cost that made no sense. Commander demanded an explanation. "Their individual soldiers are weak," his science officer reported. "But together they become something else entirely. They fight with a rage we have never encountered. They would rather die than surrender, every single one of them." "That is madness," said. "Yes, Commander, but it is effective madness." The ground war continued for 2 weeks. They had expected 3 days. They had expected minimal losses. Instead, they lost soldiers every single hour. The humans used tactics no one had seen before. They built traps from household items. They attacked supply lines in the middle of the night. They turned their own cities into death mazes. And they never stopped, not for a single moment. Began receiving reports of something else, something that disturbed him more than the fighting. His soldiers were becoming afraid. They do not give up, one soldier reported before he died from wounds he had received 3 days earlier. You can shoot them, burn them, break their bones. They still come. They smile while they attack you. They laugh when they are dying. These are not creatures. These are demons. Then the humans revealed their true surprise. Learned about it when one of his orbiting supply ships exploded. Then another. Then 5 more. The humans had launched missiles from hidden locations all over their planet, not the primitive weapons his scouts had detected. These were new, built in the 2 weeks since the invasion began. How is this possible? Demanded. His science officer was pale. Commander, they have converted their entire industrial base. Every factory on the planet is now producing weapons. They have designed new missiles, new guidance systems, new explosives, all in 14 days. That is not possible. Such development takes years. Not for them. They are working together. Millions of scientists sharing information instantly. Billions of workers operating every hour of every day. They do not sleep. They barely eat. They have become a single machine focused entirely on destroying us. The space battle began. The humans should not have stood a chance. Their rockets were crude. Their ships were fragile, but they had so many of them. They launched thousands of missiles, then tens of thousands. They crashed satellites into ships. They sent their own astronauts on suicide missions, flying directly into engines. And on the ground, the resistance only grew stronger. Commander received a communication from the High Council. They wanted to know why the conquest was taking so long. He did not know what to tell them. These humans, he said slowly, are not what we expected. Lieutenant had been studying the humans for days now. He had learned something important. Commander, he said, I believe I understand them now. They have a concept they call spite. When they are losing, when they are broken, when they have no hope of victory, they do not surrender. Instead, they fight harder. They will destroy themselves completely just to hurt their enemy. They would rather burn their own world than let us have it. Stared at him. That makes no strategic sense. No, it does not, but it makes them terrifying. The war stretched into its 2nd month. The Empire had lost more soldiers on Earth than in any other campaign in their history. Their ships were being destroyed faster than they could be replaced, and still the humans fought. But then something happened that changed everything. They captured a human general. His name was Robert. He was old, wounded, and surrounded. Instead of fighting to the death like so many others, he allowed himself to be taken. Interrogated him personally. Why do you fight so hard? Asked. You cannot win, you must know this. Your species will be destroyed. General looked at him with eyes that held no fear. You still do not understand us, do you? Then explain. Smiled. It was a terrible smile. We are not fighting to win. We are fighting to make you bleed. Every day this war continues, word spreads across the galaxy. Every species you have conquered will hear about Earth. They will hear about the soft-skinned humans who refused to kneel. They will hear about how we made your empire pay in blood for every inch of our world. And what does that accomplish? Hope said, we are giving the galaxy hope. You have ruled through fear for 10,000 years, but now every conquered world will know that you can be hurt, that you can be fought, that you are not gods. You are just another empire that can fall. Felt something he had not felt in centuries, uncertainty. Even if you destroy us completely, continued, our victory is already complete, because you will never conquer another world easily again. Every species will look at Earth and think, if the weak humans could fight like that, so can we. Your empire is already dying. We just showed everyone that it was possible. 2 days later, received new orders from the High Council. The invasion of Earth was to be abandoned. The losses were unacceptable. The damage to their reputation was spreading across the galaxy. As his fleet from Earth's orbit looked down at the battered, burning planet below, the humans had lost millions. Their cities were in ruins. Half their species was dead. And they were celebrating. He could see it on his sensors. All across the planet the survivors were gathering. They were singing. They were crying. They were holding each other under the smoke-filled sky. They had won. Not by being stronger, not by being more advanced. They had won by being absolutely, impossibly, terrifyingly stubborn. They had won by refusing to accept the reality that they could not win. Understood now, the humans were not weak. Their soft bodies and short lives were not disadvantages. They were fuel. Every limitation they had made them fight harder. Every weakness made them more desperate. And desperation, he had learned, was the most dangerous weapon in the universe. As his ship jumped into hyperspace, made a note in his personal log. It was a warning for future commanders, a lesson bought with thousands of lives. Do not ever, he wrote, invade a species that fights harder when they are losing. Do not challenge creatures who become stronger when they are pushed to the edge. And never, under any circumstances, underestimate humanity. They are not weak. They are simply waiting for a reason to show their strength. 30 years later, when the empire finally collapsed under the weight of 100 simultaneous rebellions, scholars would point to Earth as the turning point. The small blue planet that proved empires could fall. The soft-skinned humans who taught the galaxy how to fight back. And in the museums of 100 freed worlds, there would be statues of humans, not as powerful warriors, not as advanced scientists, but as something more important. As the species that never gave up. As the creatures who looked at the impossible and said, no. As proof that will is stronger than strength, and that courage is more powerful than any weapon. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and it had learned it from Earth. From humanity. From the weakest species that turned out to be the strongest of all.